Tonight from the USA International Speedway, LSRTV is happy to say good evening sim racing fans and welcome to our continuing coverage of the 2018 Upstate Racing League White Knuckle Clothing Pro Late Model Series on your home for sim racing and iRacing Live. Happy to have you with us for week number 7 of this 2017-18 campaign as we welcome you topside into the booth this evening. As always, myself, Evan Pisoko, accompanied tonight by Brandon Crute to the LSRTV booth, and downstairs, Corey Silva is helping us twist and tweak the dials and to bring us to you this evening. And Brandon, tonight we head to the no longer standing USA International Speedway, but we're looking forward to an exciting one tonight in the NHR 100, exactly as it would sound, 100 laps start to finish this evening. And as we welcome everybody into the live coverage, drivers right now on track, just wrapping up the end of the qualifying session before we get set to go racing here in a little bit for the 7th race on the season. This also marks now that we are past the halfway point though in the regular season, so points going to be a topic of conversation as well over the course of the night.
Yeah, absolutely, and the USA International Speedway can be a pretty tricky track for some of these drivers, and so definitely some things to keep an eye out for is all these guys going to be fighting for the bottom of the racetrack.
As it always is in this Upstate Racing League, top 10 drivers always fight to make it into the championship. And if you've been with us all season long, you'll know that it is a 15-race calendar year, but the last 5 races make up the playoffs, which means that as we come into tonight for round 7, it is the 4th to last race on the regular season. The points picture coming into tonight, Stefan Baranek leads the championship standings. A little bit of a comfortable gap back to Sean Cool in second. We have 4 rookies, though. I think we should point out Jake Watson 3rd, Matt Cucker 4th, Scott Naslin 7th, and Brian Long in 10th, all intertwined with our series veterans and those folks that are going to be in the top 10 at the moment. And Rex Hoyle, who comes into tonight, scored 11th in the championship, is only 4 points out of a transfer spot. So yes, Brandon, I'm aware 4 races is still a good amount of time if you count tonight before we do make those official cuts and give you your 10-car chase grid for this 2018 campaign. But it's starting to get down to crunch time where if you're not in that picture yet, you got to figure something out.
Yeah, absolutely, and if you look at it from a driver's point of view, 4 races really is coming down to the end of the season, and you know, it really gets these drivers up and going, and the guys that are just on the border for points trying to get in is they're going to be fighting hard.
Something else that we always talk about strategy-wise here on Thursday nights is the tires available down on a pit lane. Oftentimes, these guys will be given a limited amount of tires. That number typically is 4. You can come down and, if you want, do 4 tires at once. If you want, go 2 on the left and maybe 2 on the right later on, or if you want to use them all on the right side, the world is your oyster in that department. Tonight, though, no tires available, so it does subtract some of the strategy from this race, but I think it's a lot more straightforward for us and the folks watching at home. First car to the end wins it. There's nothing else involved tonight. You cannot take tires.
Yeah, and it brings up the point of how many guys are going to kind of lay back at the beginning of this race and try to save their stuff. You know, tires obviously going to be a huge deal at this racetrack, and this racetrack tends to be very brutal on the tires, and the guys running up front may not have that towards the end of this race.
Sounds like qualifying has just rounded out, and looks like we had about 20 different cars put down a time to qualify. We'll take a look completely top to bottom at the qualified order once the drivers do head down and get set to go green in this race, but I do believe they have just a few moments before we actually get down trackside and get this one going. But the NHR 100 set to go. We're happy that you're with us on LSRTV and iRacing Live. It is a doubleheader night. If you have not already noticed, the Rivalry Racing Snowball Derby also going on, and as we noted last night, we stepped aside from a very exciting out of short track racing as well. Tonight's a perfect opportunity where if you've got multiple screens to get us up on both ends, and we're happy that you're spending your time with us, but cars are headed down trackside. So we head down and take a look at tonight's LSRTV starting grid, and the driver who qualifies up front and gets the Rhubarb Vinyl Speed Demon Award for qualifying on a pole. That pays out a nice $25 and a plaque to the driver who could rack up the most of those over the course of the year. Put one in the pocket of Nicholas Rasmussen, 21.059 will qualify him on a pole, and he'll be joined by the 88 of Jake Watson outside of the front row in second. Back on row 2, familiar faces. Gulwani Fortin will start third tonight. Sean Cool will roll from fourth. Stephanie Baranek, top 3 of the points in fifth.
Starting in the 6th position is the 69 machine of Matt Cooker. Behind him in the 7th place is going to be Al Smith Jr. Then it's going to be AJ Hamill, Brandon Rogers Jr. starting behind him, and the number 1 machine of Brandon Brossler rounding out the top 10.
Instead of it on through back at row 6, 11th spot tonight goes to Alex Oriens. Brian Long will start from 12th. Justin McDuff is 13th. James McIntyre Jr. 14th, and Scott Naslin 15th.
Starting 16th is Mike Holtzclaw. Mark Royer starting behind him. Starting in the 18th position is going to be Trevin Valderrama. Jay Dubug starting the 19th position. Michael Woodring starting behind him, and rounding out the field is Matthew Holt.
Look top to bottom at your LSRTV starting grid. Pace car is going to be down and in this time as we race under the lights in Lakeland, Florida. As always, we're so happy that you're spending your evening with us at LSRTV and iRacing Live. Field going to be in the hands, as we noted, the 7-winner Nicholas Rasmussen, who comes into tonight up in the championship qualified positions, also coming into this season as the defending champion. We'll see if he can punch his first trip to victory lane on the air as the pace car does head down, and we look for the American Ethanol green flag for the 71. We are racing in the NHR 100, and it's a pretty even jump, top, side, and bottom, first time to turn 1.
They're going to be side by side going down through turns 1 and 2. The 71 has the advantage over the 88, but he's still right on the back bumper.
Not a lot of separation. Watson may have had an opportunity if he wanted to peek down to the inside of the racetrack. Did he do it? Will stay single file. Bonus point lap 1 led goes to the 71 Rasmussen. They'll figure things out for third as well. Gulwani Fortin going to maintain in the number 3 position, and I think fittingly so that we're in Lakeland, Florida. It's the Florida Gators entry of Stephanie Baranek, +1. He'll slide into P4 early as Sean Cool comes under fire. Stuck topside as another driver. Matt Cooker looks to his inside. The 69 machine, 2-time winner already this season.
Yeah, we talked about how important the bottom might be here, and Sean Cool, perfect example of that right now. He got stuck on a high side, and now he's losing a ton of positions.
To stop the bleeding at -2. It's not all that bad for the driver of the 24, but he definitely did not have much to fight for when he was stuck up on the outside of the racetrack by himself, and that'll single file things out, I believe, top to bottom throughout the top 10, and maybe for a brief moment, entire field here at the USA International Speedway. Again, because there is no tires, there is no sort of rush to urgency to really drive that car hard, knowing that maybe at the halfway point you hit the reset button. You have to keep that car and those tires intact as best you can over the course of tonight's race. And at the moment, even though we did see a couple of passes top 5 off of the start, nobody really on each other's throats. We do have a fight for fourth, though, as now Matt Cooker wants another one, this time but against Sada Fortin for P4.
Yeah, the 13 machine of Horton is going to be losing a bunch of positions here now as he moved up to the high side. That's going to not pay out well for him. Sean Cool trying to gain another position back from what he's lost.
13 lost 1 spot already. Matt Cooker was able to jump up, get around him, and it is going to be a second one. So the 24 of Sean Cool kind of pays back and give the 13 a taste of his own medicine. He's going to be able to get one of those spots lost back, but Fortin's lost 3, and he might lose 4 now as Al Smith Jr., championship leader, obviously, the guy who makes everything happen behind the scenes. 13 kissed the fence that time at turn number 2, and it's going to allow the 96 to get better positioning. And it's not like Al Smith Jr. is not hitting his mark topside. He's doing a very good job of keeping him honest. In fact, a half a car length advantage that time by but the inside is just so much a better place to be that things really tipped in favor of that 96 right now on the inside, and Fortin really can't do much, but hope maybe the 96 slips up and gives him a spot, and it might happen that time. Briefly clear. The 96 digs right back though.
Yeah, they're still going to be side by side going down the front straightaway down into turns number 1 and 2. The 96 has a power move to the bottom, almost a little bit of contact out of turn number 2.
Push up a little bit, maybe half a lane as they came up off of the corner. 13 to Fortin was giving him enough room, not really a major concern. And the 13 machine still there. I think it has been, at least to this point, longest side-by-side fight we have seen on the evening. The 18 machine of AJ Hamill kind of setting himself up. Where do I want to go, top side or bottom? I think the obvious choice is to stay low. And maybe 6-7 laps later, maybe now finally Al Smith Jr. getting clear, almost completely gone in for the Fortin that time. And you can give it to him. Al Smith Jr. now sole possession of 6th, which means Fortin has fallen 4 positions for the start of this race now in P7.
See, a couple guys started to catch them while they were side by side, and one thing we're going to be talking about all night tonight is the tire wear here at the USA International Speedway, and just how much battling like that this early in the race could play an effect towards the end of this thing.
I think the person who's having the most fun right now is Nicholas Rasmussen. 11 laps down on the board, and your race leader is continuing to stretch things out now with 12 laps complete this time by. He'll be a second in for the Jake Watson to P2, and Watson himself not in the clear, is under fire. A couple of guys lined up behind him, no side-by-side immediately into the top 10, but close enough to the point where if somebody really wanted to move you up and out of the groove, they could easily get down to your inside, or if maybe you just overdrive it a little bit down into the corner, you're leaving the door wide open. But the top 2 definitely split apart. Stefan Marinak made a quick move after starting in 5th to get up to 3rd position. I think this might be the next battle on track and fight for 2nd. The 25 is lurking, but half a car length off the bumper, not making a move yet.
Yeah, I agree, and he can make a move anytime he wants to at this point, I think. But don't look now. Here comes that 69 machine into the picture up front.
Matt Cocker, 2-time race winner this season. Stafford from week 2, and as well doubled it up in week 3 with a win from South Boston Speedway. 2 very different racetracks, but for anybody who tunes in with us on a regular basis at LSRTV, doesn't matter if it's Wednesdays, doesn't matter if it's Thursdays, you put Matt Cocker on a short track, he is competitive, and that is why he runs as a rookie, top 5 in the current championship standings, and is right there on the doorstep. One thing I think may be interesting to note is both of those wins for Knuckle came with 4 tires available and had an element of strategy to them. Brandon, he doesn't have that tonight, so have to rely on conserving it and being able to be fastest when it matters the most.
Yeah, absolutely, and looks like he's doing a fairly good job of that right now. He's just kind of hanging out behind these guys right now, not trying to pull any crazy moves for passes, and that's exactly what these drivers have to do at the beginning of this race.
Really getting on top of each other now, and I think Stefan Marinak can feel the pressure from behind. I didn't think he was too inclined to try to make a move on Watson, but now that Matt Knuckle is on his bumper, as we continue to watch this battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, he feels like, hey, if I don't get up and make something with the guy in front of me, I think he feels like Knuckle's going to get up on him. So now the 25's in a tricky position. Do you force the issue, or do you sit back and maybe get passed up for 3rd and 4th? He's actually looking to go topside on the 88, and he'll get there. Not an easy thing to do to get your nose on somebody's outside, but we really haven't seen anybody go to the top side on purpose to make passes tonight. Didn't work that time before. Gonna get the crossover, flashes the nose, and he does. Side by side for 2nd, and Marinak gonna get the job done.
Don't look now. Matt Knuckle was looking to the inside of the 88 machine. He's gonna get their power move down into the corner.
Glide job, got it. 2 back-to-back moves. Drops the 88 of Jake Watson from 2nd, in which he had started and basically run this entire race up until this point down to 4th. None of them were really just a straight shot on the inside. You saw both Marinak and Knuckle push up, center of the corner, block the 88 essentially from trying to cross them back up, and that'll really change the power structure top 5. One thing that I am surprised by, though, is the gap, I should say, between first and second before that battle for P2 started was a little bit over a second, about 1.1 seconds, and it has grown a tad bit now, 1.3, between race leader Nicholas Rasmussen and new second place runner Stefan Marinak. But for Marinak, I'd consider that good, to only lose 2/10 in what was rather a hard-spirited battle. So now I think he's relatively close enough to Rasmussen to do something with it, but the last time a 10th slower than the car scored P1.
Yeah, absolutely, Evan, and anything can stack these guys back up. All it takes is one drop the yellow flag here tonight for him to get right back up there, and if he's thinking about conserving these tires, Annie, he's in a pretty good position right now as he gets really loose off of turn number 4.
Got that, did those left side tires down below the yellow line, got a little bit sideways. If you need the car to rotate off of the corner, that's one method, and he's not going to gain or really lose anything from that. He's actually trying to stretch a tad bit out of Knuckle. The 60 Honda machine's not letting him get away, but he's not right up on bumper like the 60 Honda was to him a little bit earlier on. Did see some fighting deeper back in back. Just wanted to note the one emission of Dylan Prosler is back to P10. It's where he started this race, but he did drop a position. He just got it back from the 20 machine, adjusted to McDuff. Those guys are fighting for 10th and 11th position, but that one's well over 4 seconds off of the battle for the race lead in these fights inside of the top 5 that are ongoing. Out of the 21 drivers who started this race, 20 of them are still scored on track. It looks like the 21 of Matthew Hoft never took to the green flag, and he is going to essentially get a DNS tonight, so all 20 cars that actually made it to lap number 1 still on track, clean and green, 25 laps down. Brandon already, this time by quarter distance without incident.
Yeah, this race is going to fly by at this rate, Evan, and looks like these drivers, they're starting to get a little bit faster pace now, but now the 69 machine coming right up to the back bumper of the 25, maybe going to try to make a move.
On the doorstep, you can see Knuckle take a little bit of a higher line, try to dip down off. That's a good move if you're trying to flash the nose to somebody's inside and get there. And because the USA International Speedway straightaways are so long, such a big amount of distance, really getting a run off of the corner is obviously imperative, but it'll let you have a little bit more opportunity compared to some tracks. Say if we're talking about Matt Knuckle, like a Stafford or a Sobo, where he's won this season, we have a lot more time down that straightaway to flash the nose, convince that guy that you're setting up to make a dive to the bottom of the racetrack, and kind of issue an ultimatum without having to say anything, saying, hey, I'm going to go to the inside. You either give me space or you're going to be in the fence. And not that it was that aggressive in the fighting for second, third, and fourth earlier, but as this race goes on, the patience will begin to wear thin.
Yeah, absolutely, and as these guys are starting to race up here, you notice these guys behind him, or behind those two, are going to start to creep up slowly but surely to the back bumper of the 69 machine, and had they go side by side, it's going to allow those guys behind them to all catch up.
Close intervals from Marinak, Knuckle on the back. You got Jake Watson running fourth. He's dropped a little bit back, but still within a half a second of those guys. Shot a cool fifth. Al Smith Jr. sixth. I think the biggest gap between two positions anywhere in the top 10 is the gap between first and second. In fact, maybe a fight for P6 right now. Al Smith Jr. trying to defend on Giovanni Fortin. We saw the 13 lose 4 spots, but he got pinned topside earlier tonight. I thought he was going to be able to get one back. That time couldn't do it. Al Smith kind of gave him half a lane, but never really gave him a full slot on the inside of the racetrack. Pinched him center off, and the fight for 7th and will continue.
Most of the field pretty much single file right now, Evan, and looks like maybe we have a couple battles going on, but those are going to settle out quite quickly right now, and we're not even at halfway yet, and these guys, I'm sure, are still trying to conserve a little bit.
And that's the thing that we have to question. If this thing continues to go green, how is the conservation going to work out? Because if you're one of those guys that was saving tires early in hopes of having tires later, if this race sees no yellows and no restart, you're in a tricky spot, because yes, you're going to have the better tires, and yes, you kind of let the guys in front of you get a gap, but did you save enough to then make that gap back up? Then obviously, if we kind of get to the point where we get half distance, 3/4 distance, these guys get locked in on how they feel like this race is going to play out. and then we make it a yellow later on, that as well really throws a curveball into these things. But I have been watching the intervals between first and second position. It is still in excess of a second for the advantage to Rasmussen and Marinak, but Marinak has been the quicker car on average the last 5-10 times around, all while still facing pressure from Matt Kucker from behind. But this thing's still far from over, working lap 34.
Yeah, the 25 machine, as you said, still under pressure from the 69 car, and as they make their way down the back straightaway here at the USA International Speedway, they still have a group of fast cars behind them too. That it doesn't seem like the interval has changed much. If anything, maybe drop back a little bit.
First driver you saw drop a lap down there, it was the Tim Hortons 65 of Jay Dubuque inside of the racetrack. He gave Nicholas Rasmussen plenty of space. It is a relatively large short track, all things considered. This USA International Speedway clocking in at 3/4 of a mile in distance, and as well relatively wide and easy if the lap traffic is cooperative to be able to get up and around them. So I don't think lap traffic is going to be a huge factor tonight. Although if we go green for another 37 laps, you'll definitely start to catch the tail end of the field where we're talking about guys in 15th. It's not going to happen. Caution flag is out for Brian Long in the 08.
Well, we were talking about all that time and about stacking the field back up, and well, it's happened.
Exactly what we're going to get. We'll get a second look. It's the 08 of Long. He was 15th position at the time. James McIntyre, late dive into the corner. Couldn't keep her down on the yellow line. Pushed up, tagged him in the left rear. And if you're Long, there's not much you can do at that point. And it was a very slow, lazy spin up the hill. He just locked it down. Didn't get into the fence, so he's not going to sustain any damage. But it is going to be our first caution flag on the night at lap number 38, and typically this is where we would set our eyes down the pit lane to see if anybody's going to be going with tire strategy. Not tonight. With no tires available, we'll simply double them up, re-rack them, restack them, and go again. And now, with the fact that Marinak, I noted as well, had been a little bit quicker on average last 5 to 10 laps or so, Brandon, now he's going to have an opportunity to get right up alongside of Nicholas Rasmussen. I still think it's too early at lap 39 of 100 if you're considering to save the tires to go all out. So you might see some guys still take it precautious, not force the issue, but if you're Marinak, you might see this as maybe your best opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely, Evan, and this is the opportunity to either, if you can't get out front, just stay behind and ride as close as you can, keep the pressure on, hope that maybe he pushes himself too far, and he'll wear out his tires by the end of the race.
Single file right now, lights on top of the base car will go out when we double things back up. It's Rasmussen, Marinak, Kucker, Watson, Cool, your top 5 at the moment. This is also going to give Jay Dubuque an opportunity to get back to the lead lap. He was the only driver 1 lap down, as I noted at the time. That remained true and when the yellow flag did come out. So he will get the wave around the lucky dog, and it will be back to 20 of 20 cars being scored on the lead lap in this race. Again, Nicholas Rasmussen coming into tonight with relatively good numbers, but not numbers that this guy is used to, especially considering what his 2016-17 campaign was. Comes into tonight 9th in the points. That is in a playoff position, but it is only 10 points above the final spot to be eliminated. At 71 without a win yet this season. Well, geared up for this one. Lights are going to go out on top of the pace car shortly, but Marinak is a tough competitor. Stefan Marinak, also a 2-time winner this year, taking home a win at Iowa, taking home a win at Irwindale. I think those are the biggest and fastest tracks that we've been to so far this season. Again, not necessarily something that fits right in with what I would think USA International Speedway is all about, but clearly that 25 car's liking it.
Yeah, absolutely, and like you said, he had the fastest average lap time for the last about 10 laps there, and that was under pressure as well, so either he's maybe blown through his stuff a little bit, or he's just got a fast machine out here tonight, but either way, it looks like lights will go out on top of the iRacing.com pace car. These guys will get stacked up, doubled up, and ready for the restart.
71 on the inside, 25 outside. One thing, considering how important the inside is, that I'm surprised we really didn't see on the drop of the first green flag, was folks on the outside of the racetrack struggling. We had enough separation for the likes of Marinac or Cool in this situation outside of the first couple of rows to get down and get in line. Light's going to go back on top of the pace car for a moment as we try to get everybody sorted out in their correct positions a little bit deeper back in the pack. But to round out that point, what I'm looking for on this one is to see if that inside lane is blocked up, and if that 25 machine of Marinac gets pinned topside. A lot of that's going to have to do with how good of a restart P3 Knuckle gets.
Yeah, if he has the opportunity to jump down, I'm sure he will, but one thing we have seen tonight is maybe the outside starting to come in a little bit as it gets rubbered in just a little bit more. These guys able to maybe pitch down a little bit from the bottom side and maybe use a little bit more momentum off the top of the corner, something that we don't normally see here at the USA International Speedway, but it's a long enough race where these guys could make it work.
So we'll try it again. Pace car should be in this time with 43 of tonight's 100 laps from the USA International Speedway down. Just a couple of laps away for the halfway point. When we get there, we'll take a complete look top to bottom at the running order. But here comes the race start. Nicholas Rasmussen pulled way out in front on the first stint. Can he do it again? Fantastic jump into turn number 4 as we go back green. Good restart for the 69 Matt Knuckle. He'll jump up from 3rd to 2nd.
The 25 machine gets stuck on the outside. Cool looking below him now. Not quite going to get there. He's going to jump inside of the 69 machine. They're going to be side by side into turn number 3.
Like a move by the 25 of Marinac to split Marinac and Cool, and all of a sudden now he finds himself back in the preferred position. The longer this fighting goes on, the bigger a gap Nicholas Rasmussen's going to get. That's not good news for anybody but the guy up front leading this race. Marinac a little bit sideways though, that time at a turn number 2 to what you would think is the preferred lane. It gave Knuckle some stretching room, almost cleared him, and he's not going to be able to get that same run this time. The 25 keeping that nose on the left rear quarter panel.
These guys running the outside more and more, starting to get it rubbered in. It looks like it's going to work out well for Matt Knuckle as he's going to pull away on the outside.
First time tonight, I think, at least inside of the top 5 or 10, we have seen outside of the racetrack work on a defensive run as he tried to fight off the 25's challenge, and it worked. Now Marinac not in the clear himself. He gets kicked back, and Sean Cool wants to go after him. The 24 machine lost spots early in this race. Topside, he's been able to get back to where he started at P4. Took a look to the inside that time. Couldn't establish positioning, but he is there. Now that we get sorted out off of the restart, Nicholas Rasmussen 0.4 of a second into the race lead.
There's a gaggle of cars from about 8th on back fighting for position now, and a lot of these guys starting to stack up, and they're beating and banging, rubbing a little bit, and looks like they're starting to get it sorted out now.
Brian Rogers Jr. just lost his spot there. The driver of the 12 car gave up 9th to the 20 adjusted McDuff, and side by side behind them, Alex Oriens at number 9 entry. Inside of the 22 by Holtzclaw. We'll see if the inside reigns supreme again, and it does. Holtzclaw comes down. He really wanted to cross him over, right over the nose of Scott Naslund, who gave him a shot to the back bumper. It will work out in the end, but a dicey move and more contact now as we're rubbing for P11.
Beating and banging a little bit coming out of turn number 4. The 22 slides up even further, almost contact with a 33 machine.
I think they're racing for 1st and 2nd on 11th and 12th, but they are going at it. That's the mentality off of a restart. You just got to see on the run prior to that, after nearly 37 or 38 laps of green flag action, who is going to pull away from you, and this may be one of your best opportunities to make a big splash. This fight ongoing. Holtzclaw finally going to clear the 33 at Naslund. Naslund, though, going to cross him over again, and the battle continues.
Coming down into turns number 3 and 4 now, the 33 on the low side, the 22 up top. Looks like the outside maybe going to get away with the momentum down the front straightaway now, but down at the entry to the corner is where you want to be on the bottom.
You can see he's ever dipping those left side tires down. He's going to tag him though. Contact at a turn 2. Holtzclaw got hit. The 33 hangs on. They both do, and somehow those cars aren't wrecked yet.
Almost climbed the outside wall up into the catch fence there. He keeps it going, and they're still fighting for position down into turn number 1.
Through all of that, the 22 got up on 2 wheels, and they are still side by side for 11th position, and I think maybe finally Holtzclaw clear on the outside of the racetrack, and he will finally get sole possession of P11. The fighting back here is not done yet, because Holtzclaw now has to deal with Naslin still, but you got Royer and Long, even Trevor Valderrama back there as well. We just dropped the spot to James McIntyre and Michael Woodring the last time by, but things for the moment outside of the top 10 simmer down, and I want to bring the eyes back up to the top of the scoring pylon, because Matt Cucker is closing in for the race lead, gap down to 2/10.
Matt Cucker on a rocket tonight here in that 65 machine. He's closing in fast on the lead, and we're past halfway, Evan. Is this the point where you start to drive hard?
We always say when we begin to count down, if it no longer counts up, that it's go time. And I think Matt Cucker taking that to heart. He's stretched away from Stefan Baranek and is fixed to make a challenge for the race lead. But as we have passed the halfway point in tonight's NHR 100, we'll take this opportunity to take a look at your iRacing Midway Race Break, brought to you by iRacing, the leading online racing simulation developed from the beginning as a centralized racing and competition service. iRacing organizes, hosts, and officiates races on virtual tracks all around the globe. And in the fast-paced world of esports, iRacing is your one-stop shop for online racing with officially sanctioned series for the likes of NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Global Rallycross, and more. Running order as of lap 57 as we follow the battle for the race lead is Nicholas Rasmussen in first. He started here. He has led every single lap tonight through 58 laps of contest. Matt Cucker, a little bit more of an interesting charge up front. Started 6th, but has continuously creeped his way up into P2 at the moment. Stefan Baranek still runs in 3rd behind them, with Sean Cool where he started 4th, and Godamani Fortin picking up 2 spots after dropping back early in P5. Al Smith Jr. runs in 6th position at the moment, with Dylan Prosler in 7th. AJ Hamill is 8th. Justin McDuff is 9th, and Brian Rogers Jr. is P10.
Continuing into the 11th position right now is Alex Orion, Scott Noslin behind him, Mike Coleslaw in the 13th position, 14th is Mark Royer, Brian Long in the 15th position, 16th is James help me out here, Evan.
McIntyre. It's spelt weird. I gotcha.
I apologize for that, James. Behind him is Michael Woodring. Then it's going to be Trevin Valderrama, Jay Duboc, Jake Watson, and rounding out the field so far with a DNF is Matthew Holt.
Look top to bottom at your Midway Race Break. Battle for the race lead is ongoing, but that look top to bottom was brought to you by iRacing. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, you can visit iRacing.com to sign up today. And we saw it throughout our look top to bottom, side by side for the race lead. Matt Cucker finally got to that inside positioning, and even though Brandon, the top side, has been getting a little bit better, it was still no match for what I think was a little bit slower of a car for Rasmussen. I think first time tonight he's been in that situation, and he kissed the fence that time, but at turn number 2, maybe flustered. First time tonight he is not leading this race.
Yeah, he actually hit the outside wall pretty hard. Now he lost quite a bit of momentum. Now he's under pressure from Marinak in the 25 machine.
Marinak has also been following along, but he's been, I think, consistently about a 0.6 of a second disadvantage from Cucker, and it doesn't mean the 25 not going to be quicker than the 71, but I think that Matt Cucker is in a fantastic position now with the buffer, because Nicholas Rasmussen has a fast car. He just doesn't have the fastest car at the moment, and that may tie into with the tire conservation that we were talking about earlier. Really stretched it out over a 1.5 seconds in the lead earlier tonight, but now in the second half, maybe Cucker and Baranek with a little bit more in the reserves. But Rasmussen is quick enough to the point where the 25's not going to be able to just walk all over him, and that is fantastic news if they do decide to fight for second, because that would give Matt Cucker plenty of time to try to run away with this thing. However, Rasmussen looked like he was falling back into the clutches of Baranek. Not so fast. Pretty steady right there at about 4 car lengths off the bumper of the 69.
The top 3 pretty spread out at a pretty consistent rate right now as Cucker pulls away in the lead, but Rasmussen is just... he's consistently right in the middle of these two guys, and it doesn't look like Marinak is going to really have anything for him right now.
Beranek drops off, in fact now 9/10 off. That's the biggest disadvantage he's had to conquer all night. Yes, the 71 probably attributing to that, running right in the middle of them P2. But we are seeing a fair amount of separation up inside of the top 5. A lot of single file, a couple of clusters of cars here and there, but no immediate fighting going on throughout the rest of the pack as we close in on 3/4 distance. We're not far from there. Working lap 67 of 100 so far. Only one caution flying tonight at the NHR 100. You're watching the 7th race of this 2018 Upstate Racing League White Knuckle Clothing Incorporated Pro Late Model Series at LSRTV and iRacing Live. And Matt Cucker will not be able to mathematically lead the most laps tonight, get the bonus point for that, having taken over from the 71 past halfway, but I think fixed to make a statement here, slowly starting to stretch his gap now to the biggest it's been all night at half a second.
Yeah, he battled his way through the pack all night and now finally has the clean air out front, and I think he's in a really comfortable position right now as the 71 machine is going to have to try to fight back if he wants anything to do at the end of this race here, as he's starting to gain pressure once again from the 25 machine.
Beranek dropped back a little bit, then started to close back in. I think it's a little bit of both. Beranek being, I think, slower than Cucker, obviously, and Rasmussen as well, but maybe just the consistency or the inconsistencies on a lap-by-lap basis is why we see sometimes the gap between second and third stretch a little bit, and then, you know, the next time around, they'll tighten things back up. The good news is they are clear from pressure from Sean Cool for the time being. He's a second behind them, although at USA International Speedway, considering how slow you wind these things down in the corner to be able to get around here, getting down close to 80 miles an hour, that's not all that far back. We saw Rasmussen kiss the fence at a turn 2 the lap immediately after Cucker passed him up, and he's not the first person we've seen do that tonight, so any sort of a small mistake by some of these guys up front could definitely bring some more cars into the picture.
Yeah, absolutely, and it looks like those guys back behind the top 3, still not too far back, but it looks like the battle back there might be heating up here pretty soon as well.
Getting tight to work around some lap traffic. It's the 88 machine to Jake Watson to give him plenty of space as he falls 7 laps down. Gave him plenty of room. There's no incident there. Fighting back in the pack for magic number 11 again. We saw this position bring us some exciting action, and we are going back at it again. P11 Alex Oriens, number 9 machine. Top side of the racetrack, the 33 Aslan going to the inside in P12. It's a side-by-side challenge. Nearly 10 seconds off of the battle for the race lead, but a hard-fought one nonetheless as they go 2 by 2.
Going down into turns number 1 and 2, they're going to slide up almost to make contact. Now coming out of turn number 2, working their way down the back straightaway here at the longer back straightaway here at the USA International Speedway. The 33 machine trying to fight back. The 9 slips up at a high side. That's going to bring them single file once again.
Almost clear, but I think with the advantage on the inside, 9's going to dig it in hard for Orien's top side, but it should be Dazzler with the advantage off. Yes, sir. And he's going to be able to get back up to P11, and it'll drop Oriens back to 12th. These guys have been swapping out the position a couple of times, and it has created some bent-up sheet metal, so I would not lose track of that as the night goes on. Up front, though, Stefan Beranek, quick and painless, like ripping off the Band-Aid. Got to the inside of Rasmussen and did not wait around, cleared him that time by the line. The 71 wants to cross him over and challenge back, but I think give Beranek that little bit of clean air. I think he should be able to pull away here again. Rasmussen is not significantly slower than either of the guys in front of him, but if you're slower by half a tenth lap by lap, that's going to add up. And Stefan Beranek now at a race high P2. Question now is, can he make up the 1.1 seconds between he and race leader Matt Cucker?
Yeah, the 71 machine falling back quite heavily now, not quite able to keep up for these top 2 drivers anymore, and second place and obviously first place, I think showed that they saved their stuff pretty good at the beginning of this thing. The 71 machine just, I think he extended his lead a little bit too early in this thing, maybe blew tires.
Keep it out in the intervals last time, almost dead even. The difference was merely 3/100ths of a second. More lap traffic staying down on the inside of the racetrack. That's Jay Dubuque again in the 65 machine, allowing way for your race leaders to sneak on through, trying to again not be a factor in this race. And the advantage of the USA International Speedway is you actually have an apron to be able to get down and get onto. Five Flag Speedway can't really say the same, with the way the pit wall is really tight down at the far end of the racetrack in 3 and 4, where we were just a week ago for the 6th race on the year, where Sean Cool went to victory lane, the driver who currently runs in 4th position. And I know that we've shouted out Stefan Baranek for his 2 wins on the year. Matt Cocker also just giving a shout out there to Sean Cool. Can't leave Jake Watson out of the picture. Jake Watson was your winner for the 4th race on the year from the paperclip at Martinsville Speedway, taking home the win in the on-pit road 100. Of course, though, for Jake, in a position in the championship where he needs to have good runs, and tonight being 7 laps down in 20th because of the accident he was involved in earlier is not going to cut it. So a tough break for Watson here tonight, the highest running rookie in the championship. As we enter the evening, those honors will go to Matt Cucker out of the evening, assuming that Cucker doesn't drop back anymore. He was only 2 points behind him and is on set to become the first driver out of anybody, not just rookies, to get 3 wins on the year if this result can hold. But Stefan Baranek closed it a 1/10 of a second. The gap is now back down to 1 second. That's good. I don't think he has enough time, though, Brandon, without a yellow. 17 to go this time by. You really need to be getting a 1/2 tenth consistently to make up that much time.
Yeah, I agree, and unless some lap traffic gets in the way, as these guys have passed a few lap cars already, I don't think he's going to have enough time. And but something I would like to point out is that differs from the beginning of this race is these guys starting to utilize the higher part of the racetrack voluntarily, Evan.
We saw that. I think the first driver to really just take a peek to the outside of the racetrack was either Cocker or Baranek, and they actually stuck a nose to the outside, tried to make it work. It didn't work, but they kind of used that to set themselves up to cross over. But these guys have been experimenting with that higher line since about a little bit past quarter distance in this race, and you can just see it on some of the higher shots, and especially on those straightaway cameras. You can see the difference between the color of the asphalt on the straightaways and in the corner. That black rubber is getting pushed up and up and up to the point where even if you just follow somebody like a Matt Cucker, your race leader, he's not even diving all the way down to that yellow line, hooking those left side tires below the apron like we saw from folks earlier. He's even moved up a 1/2 to a full lane.
Yeah, and, you know, about halfway through this race, we saw them kind of starting to merge up into the high lane and kind of, you know, diving it down on the bottom on an exit, but they're utilizing the entire second groove on its racetrack now, and that's something we never used to see at the USA International Speedway. Before, it was always a fight for the bottom of the racetrack.
Couple of battles here and there, but with Matt Cucker now pulling that 1/10 of a second back, as you've been able to see with those live intervals up on the top of your screen. This one looks like it's going to need some sort of a yellow flag to throw a curveball into it. Only one caution flag so far, with 87 laps now complete from Lakeland, Florida. And Matt Cucker is kind of dancing back and forth between 1 and 1.1 seconds in front, but I think he's pretty comfortable. He does have to consider, though, as the 88 Watson moves up, gives him plenty of space, and it's not going to be an issue, that you have to be careful with the lap traffic. If he were to catch up to Michael Woodring, he would have him, he'd have McIntyre, he'd have Reuter, and a bunch of drivers battling for position and all stacked up. I'm not sure he'll get to them before this race is over, but if he does, that might be one last-ditched opportunity for Baranek, hoping the 69 machine gets checked up, because a group of 3 fighting for position are not going to be as friendly to a race leader coming up behind him as, say, Jay Dubuque and Jake Watson have been running by themselves.
Yeah, absolutely, Evan, and I think it'll take a major checkup from the 69 machine, excuse me, to hold him up enough for the second place 25 to catch him, and I think right now he's just sailing victory.
10 laps to go. That time by for Matt Cucker. He's holding a 1 second advantage to Stefan Baranek. We maybe saw a battle for 4th or 3rd position, but I don't think it's going to come true. Sean Cool occupying that spot now, and Ford's going to spin. The 13 is around, and a caution.
Oh my, this plays a huge effect at the end of this race, Evan.
It was the 88. We were just talking about how good Jake Watson was being tonight, staying out of the way, and he absolutely was. but Fortin came down, tried to complete a pass on Nicholas Rasmussen, and it almost forced him in a 3-wide situation. The slightest of contact, that's nothing Jake Watson could have done. He held his lawn, he was up as high as you could, but I think Fortin thought that the 71 was still hanging out on that left rear quarter panel, tagged the 88 and spun it out, and all of a sudden, we have a caution and a restart due up inside of 10 laps to go.
So I think the bigger question now, does the 25 machine have enough speed in that race machine now? Did he wear out his tires too quickly? Does he have something left in the tank in case the caution did come out? We'll have to find that out here in just a few laps when these guys go back under the green flag racing. What are your predictions for the end of this thing, Evan?
And it's tough to tell because I think that Matt Kucker's in a very good position, despite the fact that, yes, we've seen the outside line come in. But if you just looked at their lap times, I know some people like to think that, looking at the stats is overrated and it's situational. And I think that when we get a restart inside of 5 laps to go, it's elbows up, it's a completely different game. But Matt Kucker and Stefan Baranek were very even. However, I think the 69, just courtesy of being able to be the control car on this restart, is going to be in the best position, especially if we saw like what we saw on the last restart where the driver inside of row 2 jumps up and makes it a fight for P2. If that happens, Matt Kucker's gone. You're not going to be able to catch this guy if you give him anything. So if you're Stefan Baranek, or even if you're Sean Cool, if you can make a quick move and get into that spot, but you need to be on this guy's bumper, if not staying side by side with him by the time we get to turn 3 off of the restart. If you're not there by that point, I think you've given him too much.
Yeah, the pressure has to stay on the 25. Marinek really has to give Coker the pressure here. Maybe force him to mess up a little bit. Maybe force him out of the groove if it comes down to that. A little bit of short track racing moves here. Maybe we'll see that here tonight. But it'll be an interesting show to the end as these guys just hit 6 to go.
I think the restart will come then with a lifestyle on the pace car with about 4 laps to go. I want to take this opportunity on the yellow to say thanks to our friends at NHR for sponsoring tonight's NHR 100, and also give a shout out to our friends at Joel Real Timing. Coverage of tonight's Upstate Racing League is brought to you by Joel Real Timing, the official timing software of LSRTV. Whether you spend your time on the sim, behind the wheel, on a pit box, or from the spotter stand, JRT is your go-to software for iRacing timing and scoring analytics. You can get yourself a basic download today or the full pro version by logging online to joel-real-timing.com for more information. So we set the scene, and drum roll, lights on top of the pace car are out. We will have 4 laps to decide this thing. I think it's also noteworthy that we should say, Brandon, if a yellow were to come out now when we restart, this race is done. Not going to have an opportunity to restart it. So you're really going for broke on this restart. It's your last chance, and Matt Kucker has chosen the outside for the restart.
Yup, to the outside, and that's where he was running this whole time, but nevertheless, these guys will get stacked up, doubled up, ready for the final restart of the night here from the USA International Speedway.
Put the 25 at the inside, but Sean Cool stuck behind him. I don't see the 24 getting a big jump. Maybe this plays into the hands of Nicholas Rasmussen outside of road 2 to 4th. Here we go. Green flag flies once more. 4 laps to go, and it is a good jump for Matt Kucker. He'll be a car length clear to turn 1. Stefan Baranek drives it in hard and gets within a car length.
No saving anything, and now these guys gonna go all out. The battle for the lead. The 25 hasn't given much of an inch at all here, and he's keeping the pressure on.
Almost contact for 3rd. The 71 Nicholas Rasmussen going to take that spot away from Sean Cool, who is leading on the left rear quarter panel. We are still going, though, to Popsicle 6 this time by 2 to go. If Stefan Baranek wants to use the bumper, it's going to be a hell of a drive to that bumper because the 69 opens up a car length and a half.
Coming down out of turn number 4 now. They're going to get 2 laps to go to this time by the popsicle sticks. Into the air now. 25 trying to gain as much ground as he can, running a little bit lower of the line. He has a huge run down off of turn number 2.
You can see the 25 we were just talking about on that last run. Drivers moving up a lane. You can tell the desperation setting in. Marinak was hooking those left side tires below the yellow line down at the far end of the racetrack. Second last time at a 4. White flag in the air from USA International Speedway. Matt Knuckle started to P6. Has been the most consistent car all night long. Took over the race with about 40 to go. He's got one final corner to survive. Marinak going to throw it in hard, but it is going to be too little too late, and win number 3. Matt Knuckle takes it from USA International Speedway in the NHR 100. What a finish. Marinak, you could see he went for it going down into turn number 3, came up shy of the back bumper, and it wasn't the picture-perfect restart and the gap that Matt Knuckle would have liked to pull, but having that car length and a half at the very end proved to be enough, and we saw fighting all the way throughout go right down to the end of this thing. Sean Cool was able to snag P3 back from Rasmussen in the closing laps.
Incredible finish to this race with a late race caution coming out, and Matt Knuckle will take away the victory here tonight, and well-deserved, working his way up through the field.
Got that car. The advantage of all these short tracks is you can actually park those cars down into victory lane. He and the top 3 finishers are parked on the front straightaway, and we will get a word with Matt Knuckle as well as the rest of your top finishers in just a moment. So before we head down, we'll take a quick opportunity to step aside, and when we come back, the post-race show from USA International Speedway. You're watching LSRTV's continuing coverage of the 2018 Upstate Racing League White Knuckle Clothing Incorporated Pro Late Model Series on your home for sim racing at iRacing Live. We'll be back in a moment.
When I was 16 years old, I was working in a Goodyear tire store, and my boss actually built an old dirt car, street stock Monte Carlo. Went with him one night, fell in love with it. It was a hell of a race, hell of a party, and a big fight afterwards. I was like, this is it. This is it for me. It wasn't long after that, I was driving an old 78 Camaro out of the weeds at that guy's farm. We pulled that thing out and made a race car out of it, and away we went. You know, I think a driver has more to do with the equation going back and racing dirt, whether it's a modified, a late model. You can do more with the race car. You know, the harder you drive it, a lot of times, the better it goes. You can crawl up on that wheel and feel like you made the difference at the end of the night. Asphalt car, you can't overdrive them. Well, that was the first thing that I had to learn right off the bat is, oh my gosh, I've got to discipline myself, not overdrive this thing, and that's how you get the most out of it. Truth be told, communicating the right information to your crew and your crew chief so they can do their job and make their appropriate adjustments for you to go faster and do your job is probably 90% of the game in our world. I've always loved late models. You know, my dream was to be a late model driver driving for a living across the country like Daryl and Don do that drive for me. I mean, that was, truth be told, that was my dream, you know. I always wanted a semi. I always wanted a stacker trailer with 2 hot rods in it, and let's go racing. Let's take off with your buddies and go race and chase that dream. Never in a million years did I think it would turn into a Cup Series, and I actually have an opportunity to own 2 you know, dirt late model teams. When you think of iRacing, you don't think of a video game. It's not. It's way above and beyond any of that. You know, dirt racing changes so much. The track changes so much. Being able to capture that.
Welcome back live to the USA International Speedway, where LSRTV's coverage of the 2018 Upstate Racing League White Knuckle Clothing Incorporated Pro Late Model Series continues through tonight. Now 7 races complete on this 17-18 campaign, and your winner tonight from the USA International Speedway is Matt Knuckle. It's his 3rd win on the year, and we will get thoughts from the driver of the 60 Honda Machine trackside in a moment. First, let's take this opportunity to look top to bottom at tonight's LSRTV full race results. Matt Knuckle takes on the win, goes +5 to get up to the front of the field to take the win tonight, leading the second most laps on the evening and being one of only 2 drivers who led at all tonight. Stefan Iranak got within half a second at the end, but comes home in second. Good points night for one of your drivers who's already found success this year. Sean Cool comes home in 3rd. Pole sitter Nicholas Rasmussen fell back mid-race, was able to get back to P4. One considers that a good pickup for the 71 team, and it is going to help him build upon a very minor advantage in the playoff standings. Coming into tonight, Al Smith Jr., good result, comes home at a P5. Dylan Prosler ends up in 6th position with his all said and done, followed by Brian Rogers Jr. in 7th. First drivers from outside of the top 10 to make their way into the finishing results tonight. Justin McDuff goes 13th to 8th. And as well behind him, Scott Naslin, 15th to 9th, I should say. And then behind them, AJ Hamill rounds out your top 10.
Finishing in the 11th position is Mike Holtzlaw, 12th is Mark Royer, 13th Brian Long, 14th James McIntyre. Behind him is Michael Woodring, and then it's Trevin Valderrama, Alex Oriens, Jay Duboc, excuse me. It's going to be Guillaume Fortin behind him. 8 laps down, rounding out the top 20 is Jake Watson, and 83 laps down is Matthew Hope.
Look top to bottom at your LSRTV full race results. Let's go trackside and chat with your race winner tonight. Driver the number 60 Honda Machine, Matt Knuckle, takes home the win in tonight's NHR 100. Matt, congratulations on another one on a short track, and it ends up being your 3rd on the season in this Upstate Racing League. Talk us through this one, though, because with no tires on the board, and something that we noted topside here at the start of the night was that your other 2 wins came at tracks where tires were an option and maybe had a little bit more flexibility in the strategy. Tonight, though, you know that you had to work with those Hoosier Racing tires top to bottom. Were you hanging back early when we saw Nicholas Rasmussen stretch out in front, and then when we got that yellow flag at about lap number 40, we saw you guys keep it honest, take over the race lead a little bit after that, never look back?
Yeah, early on tonight, we didn't have the Q run that we needed, so I figured starting 6th, we're going to have to lay back and try to save as much tires as we could. And the guys up front, they went hard, especially Nick. He went hard really early, and I'm pretty sure he used up his right front pretty good. And that was what we were able to pass him, because we had to save the right front more than he did. And then later on in the race, it was just tried to stay high. The low line, you could not pass anywhere. It was just, you get way too tight and you were too slow. So I just tried to stay high and save tires as much as I could.
Obviously, you guys looked like you were in a pretty good gap. Marinak was able to make his way to P2 there late, and looked like he might have been able to mount a charge, but it stayed pretty even with about a second of a deficit. And then that yellow flag comes out. You guys choose the outside on the restart. Talk us through that decision. And then obviously the little bit of a sprint there to the end that had him pretty close to that back bumper final time in turn 3.
Yeah, the outside was just definitely the place to be. And if you have the choice to take the outside over the inside, it's always a better place to do it, because you have more momentum coming off the 1 and 2. So that's why I try to normally take the outside whenever I have the choice to. But I mean, he was close. I thought he was going to get to my bumper getting there in the 3 on the final lap there, but he wasn't able to, and I was able to hold him off.
The 3rd win on the season. He came into tonight 4th in the overall championship, would put you guys in a very good position to meet the objective of just sitting top 10, get through the opening 10 weeks of this season, and then when we get to the playoffs, we'll have a real conversation about fighting for a championship. But not the greatest of evenings tonight for Jake Watson, who is leading the rookie points coming into tonight. He ends up at the bottom of the ladder in 20th position. You guys end up at the top end, so you take over the lead in the rookie points, as well as kind of launch yourself into the top 3 and the overall championship standings. I know that you're no stranger to the short tracks, but just tell us how this season has been kind of adjusting to a new group of guys, and what the success early on means for your confidence come the time that we really do take a serious look at your guys' championship hopes.
The confidence is definitely high. I mean, coming into this series, I didn't know what to expect. Being able to take tires from used to not being able to take any tires at all. So, I mean, coming in and getting those 2 wins earlier on in the season where we were allowed tires, it was definitely an uplifter here because I'm not used to taking tires and I didn't know what to do on the short run. So, glad that I could get those 2 wins while taking tires and then be able to get a 3rd win here without taking any. So, it feels pretty good.
The view is always nice down from Victory Lane. We'll let you take off, Matt, but it was a nice quick night at the office this evening. Only those 2 caution flying tonight en route to your 3rd win on the season. The sponsors and the shout-outs who powers that number 69 Chevy.
Definitely got to thank Team Vincier, ILI's GlobalCom, as usual. I got to thank you guys for broadcasting. I got to thank NHR for coming on board for the USA 100 here tonight. And I got to thank Upstate Racing League. And also all the fans in the stands.
Race winner tonight from USA International Speedway, Matt Kunker, 3rd on the season. Matt, we always appreciate the time. Congratulations on the win, and I'm sure we'll have many opportunities to chat down the road. We're past halfway, though, in the season, so we get down to crunch time. We'll catch you at Lanier.
All righty, thank you.
And your race winner tonight in the NHR 100 at USA International Speedway, Matt Kunker, taking home the checkered flag. It was spirited efforts from the likes of Stefan Baranek and Sean Cool. They come home in 2nd and 3rd. Track-sided with both of them is Brandon Kurtz, but first down with the driver who came across the line in P2. That is Stefan Baranek.
Stefan, you come home in the 2nd position here tonight, and with a strong fight for the lead there at the end. How'd you feel throughout this whole thing?
I felt pretty good. I'm pretty happy with 2nd place there. So I didn't really know what I would have. I didn't get a lot of practice before the race, but I qualified pretty decent, and I just kept making up spots. So I'm pretty happy with it.
Well, tell us, at the end of this thing, did you think you might have a shot at the win against Coker?
I thought maybe when we had that caution that I'd have a chance. I don't think I would have caught him on the green, but I thought I might have a chance on that final restart, and I was just really tight for some reason, and I couldn't catch him, and you know, I even tried to get to his bumper on the last turn, and I just pushed up toward the wall, so I couldn't really do anything, but he was fast. You know, he saved his tires, and you know, I'm happy I was able to stay up with him this week, because usually I'm not able to.
Well, we saw a lot of line changes throughout the race there, a lot of drivers going from the bottom to the top to the 2nd groove. Tell us about that. Tell us how this dynamic track that iRacing has brought into the service not too long ago has played a huge effect into this race.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's had a big impact. The races are definitely play out a lot different than they did last year. The prominent line for the first 15-20 laps was the bottom line, and then you had to move up if you wanted to be fast, and that's what I had to do. I had to enter high, and then I'd cut down toward the bottom on the exit, and it definitely changes things. Gives totally different complexion to the end of the races.
And with an awesome drive here from you tonight to come home with a 2nd place finish, is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, just the series sponsor, White Knuckle Clothing, and all the admins at Upstate Racing League, and also you guys for doing the broadcast for us every week.
All right, awesome, Stefan, and congratulations once again on your 2nd place finish.
Thank you.
Coming home in 3rd place tonight is Sean Cool, and Sean, tell us a little bit about your race tonight. We saw you up running around the 4th place position, all up in the top 5 pretty much the whole night. Tell us how everything went for you tonight.
Everything went relatively good. We struggled a little bit at the start of the drop of the green there. We were kind of hung out on the outside lane, and once we were finally able to find a hole and get down until the track kind of rubbered in, it kind of sort of got to a multi-groove track a little bit. Then we got rocking and rolling. We had a couple cautions that went our way, and unfortunate that Jake had issues again this week. And first and foremost, I want to kind of apologize to Nick there. I was talking to him post-race. It was really hard racing coming down to the end there, and we both kind of met at the same spot. So I apologize to him again, but other than that, it was a pretty good night.
Well, now that you brought that up, tell us a little bit about the ups and downs of your race. What went good, maybe what went bad?
Yeah, I mean, really the only bad thing that happened for the most part was the drop of the green just getting hung out on the outside. We got a little luck with some other guys having some misfortune. I mean, we were getting good on the long run. Once we really got the stretch out, I was able to start running some guys back down. We were able to run pretty close up to basically third, running, fourth, third once we got to the later third of that race. And then we had those 2 yellows or 1 yellow or whatever it was at the end there, and it was kind of no holds bar. Everybody was going for it. So really nothing too bad after that, after the green.
Well, awesome and a solid race for you here tonight with a podium finish. Is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I'd like to thank NHR for sponsoring the race tonight. All the competitors for coming out and running. I'd like to thank Al Smith Jr. for everything that he does for the league and putting everything on. All the rest of the sponsors that put these shows on for us, because this is a blast. You guys up in the booth and everybody that comes out to watch.
Awesome, Sean, and once again, congratulations to you on your podium finish here tonight at the USA Speedway.
Thank you very much. Have a good one, guys.
So that's word from our top finishers. Thanks to Matt Cucker, Stefan Baranak, and Sean Cool for lending some time to chat with us post-race. Again, Matt Cucker is your winner tonight from the USA International Speedway, and I think we saw a good amount considering that when we came into this, we were thinking, okay, no tires available, maybe a little bit more straightforward. I think that you really saw it, and kind of confirming it when we chatted with Matt Cucker there, Brandon, that, he sagged back a little bit, having started mid-pack and really pushed it on late. And I know the fans really liked that last shootout with 4 laps to go. I'm sure his heart could have done without it. But at the end of the night, I think Nicholas Rasmussen probably deserved to be able to snag a second or third finish in this race, just based on how good he was. Leads the most laps tonight, but the strategy maybe wasn't there, missing that little bit of an element. And at the end of the night, I think the fastest car at lap number 100 was your race winner.
Yeah, absolutely, Evan, and he saved his stuff all through this race, and at the end, after riding in traffic for a little bit, he was holding back all night, and at the end of the 100 laps, he was able to be the fastest vehicle out of the bunch.
Basically wraps up our coverage here tonight from Lakeland, Florida, but we are far from done at LSRTV and iRacing Live. And in fact, we are still live right now with the Rivalry Racing Snowball Derby over at Five Flag Speedway. So get over to the LSRTV YouTube channel or youtube.com/LSRTV, and you can find that live broadcast as well. They've got about 30 laps to go. So I would highly encourage you to head over and check that one out. But after tonight, we've got plenty more racing coming up this week. Tomorrow night, Friday, December the 8th at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, the Super Speedway Cup Series occupies their typical slot here with us. And then we'll close out the week with Saturday night truck action on December the 9th at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time with the United Simracing BNC Lawn and Landscaping Service. You could get a full look at our upcoming broadcast schedule by going to our website at www.livesimracing.com. And the best way to keep up to date with us is by following us on social media on Twitter. That is at LSRTV, and on Facebook, it's by logging on to facebook.com/LSRTV official. Until next time, though, on behalf of the entire team at Live Sim Racing LLC, for DJ Lyon, Laura Lawson, everybody behind the scenes and who's up in the booth night in and night out who makes things happen, and of course, for the team tonight, for myself, Evan Pasoko, and a big thanks to Brandon Kreutz and our producer, Corey Silva, for helping us out tonight. We want to thank you for tuning in and congratulate Matt Cucker, 3-time race winner on the year with the Upstate Racing League. The series is going to continue next week from the Lanier Raceplex. It'll be the Lakota Designs 125. It'll be the third to last race of the regular season, and that race and every race of this 2018 Upstate Racing League White Knuckle Clothing Incorporated Pro Late Model Series can be found right here at LSR TV, your home for sim racing. Until next time, though, good night.